Good day to the organizers, my fellow mentors, and students. I am Samuel John Villamor Regingan, a faculty member of the College of Criminal Justice of the University of Bohol. Our department aims to produce individuals who are professionally competent, morally upright, and deeply committed leaders who are passionate to deliver efficient and effective service to God, people, and country, equipped with the adequate knowledge and skills, profoundly imbued with the wide perspective of the constitutional guarantees of every individual in the administration of justice. University of Bohol is a premier university that transforms lives for a better future by providing a holistic education anchored on the trinity of virtues: scholarship, character, and service. My province, Bohol, is an island province of the Philippines located in the central Visayas region, consisting of the island itself and 75 minor surrounding islands. Its capital is Tagb, with a land area of 4,821 square kilometers and a coastline of 261 kilometers long. Bohol is the 10th largest island of the Philippines. As part of the education sector for criminal justice, let me walk you through my study entitled Level of Effectiveness of PNP Frontliners in Preventing the Spread of COVID-19 in Tagbilaran City, Bohol. The COVID-19 widespread has put the world into a circumstance of vulnerability. Numerous organizations are treading on unknown regions and have no diagram for how to oversee the emergency and its results. Police are having to reply to and help in an open well-being emergency, upholding modern laws and bylaws that are frequently changing as government take data from disease transmission experts and virologists on how to oversee this worldwide widespread. During the conduct of this study, the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, the SARS-CoV-2 widespread has contaminated nearly 5.2 million people, and about 340,000 people have passed on the contamination universally. Most governments have executed strict approaches to decrease the development and social context of their populations. The techniques included border closure, a decrease in insignificant administrations, and prohibiting swarm gathering to diminish person-to-person contacts. In expansion, self-imposed avoidance such as social separating, hand washing, and face mask utilization are executed to different degrees over influenced regions. On March 7, 2020, the primary local transmission was detailed by the Department of Health of a patient who had no travel history and had comorbidities. The Department of Health raised the alarm level to red sub-level 1 to expect the increment of COVID-19 cases locally. Upon the proposal of the Health Secretary, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte issued Announcement 922 on March 8, pronouncing a state of a national crisis due to the risk of COVID-19. Beneath this decree, all organizations are required to render full help within the reaction to COVID-19. The Secretary of Health, as the head of the Interagency Task Force for Emerging Infectious Diseases, may call upon law enforcement agencies to help within the execution of isolate and other measures to address the spread of infection. IATF-EID, through Determination Number 16, made a special working group comprising of agents from the government offices and the armed forces of the Philippines. The Philippine National Police plays an imperative part in anticipating the spread of COVID-19, executing the policies started by the government alongside the other frontliners from different areas. They are responsible for the assurance of the public security and maintaining order in response to the national health crisis. Within Tagbilaran City, the provincial capital of the province of Bohol, where the center of business and the only city in Bohol, it is common to be swarmed, and particularly in the shopping center and other trade places. The essential challenges of the Philippine National Police frontliners are to guarantee the security and safety of the individuals as well as to maintain order. Having shared with you the urgency and the importance of the matter, my study is about determining the level of effectiveness of the PNP frontliners in preventing the spread of COVID-19 in Tagbilaran City, and distinguishing the perception of the residents on how the police officers impose policy and guidelines during the coronavirus pandemic in mitigating the spread of COVID-19 in Tagbilaran City. The study is anchored on the following theories. The rational choice theory, which is according to Becker, the subjective appraisal of these variables depends on a person's state of mind towards dangers. Hence, on-screen characters who are arranged to require dangers are or may be discouraged by the likelihood of being caught than the level of punishment. Within the case of hazard-neutral actors, the impacts of likelihood and punishment can compensate, whereas actors who maintain a strategic distance from dangers are or may be hindered by the effect of heavier punishments than by the likelihood of being caught. Contagion theory, according to Lebon, held that crowds existed in three stages: submergence, disease, and proposal. On protection motivation theory, this theory proposes that people protect themselves based on two factors. First is a threat appraisal, which assesses the severity and seriousness of the situation. And second, the coping appraisal, which pertains to how an individual responds to a certain situation. Institutional theory. This theory provides the basis for the systematic analysis of innovation, using theoretical contributions about distinctions between formal and informal institutions, and regulative and normative, and as well as cultural cognitive types of institutions in the adoption of organizational structures, policies, and standard practices. Procedural justice theory. This theory describes the idea that how individuals regard the justice system is tied more to the perceived fairness of the process and how they were treated rather than to the perceived fairness of the outcome. This study is legally supported by the United Nations COVID-19 Law Lab initiative that gathers and shares legal documents from over 190 countries across the world to help state and establish and implement strong legal frameworks to manage the pandemic. The goal is to ensure that laws protect the health and well-being of individuals and communities, and that they adhere to the international human rights standards. Republic Act 11469, otherwise known as the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, is an act that declares a national emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a national policy that authorizes the President of the Philippines to ensure or exercise his powers as a President of the country to relocate, realign, and reprogram a budget worth almost 275 billion pesos from the estimated national budget of the country, which is 438 billion pesos to be used in response to help the nation against the COVID-19 pandemic. Proclamation 929. This declares a state of calamity throughout the Philippines due to the coronavirus disease 2019. States that in Section 2 of this proclamation, it says that all government agencies alike and local government units shall render full assistance and coordination and to move the resources for the response of critical and urgent measurements in a timely manner in order to reduce and eradicate the threat of the current pandemic, COVID-19. The researcher employed a quantitative method using a researcher-made survey questionnaire, which was validated by experts. The questionnaires were translated into Visayan dialect for easy understanding and can be translated to their vernacular. Random sampling method was used wherein the researcher considered the estimated household population of selected barangays in Tagbilaran City, which is 300 residents from random households in Tagbilaran, and 30 police officers who were stationed in Tagbilaran City Police Station were randomly selected to be the participants of the study. The selected respondents that can participate in the study are 18 years old and above for as long as they are not deaf, mute, bedridden, with no illness, and was residing in the selected barangays of Tagbilaran City during the pandemic. The researcher will choose randomly among the two groups of respondents, which is the residents and the PNP frontliners, in accordance to the respondents' age, sex, civil status, educational attainment, and or rank. During the conduct of the data gathering, strict observance of health protocols was followed in accordance to the mandate of the law. Data was analyzed through weighted mean for the rating of the respondents' responses. This study intends to look into the level of effectiveness of the PNP frontliners in preventing the spread of COVID-19 in Tagbilaran City, Bohol especially, and identify the profile of the respondents, the level of effectiveness of the PNP frontliners enforcing the preventive measures against COVID-19 as perceived by the residents as well as perceived by the police officers alike, and in turn determine the significant relationship of the profile of the respondents and the perceived level of effectiveness to the self-made survey questionnaire. As to the result of the study, the demographic profile of the respondents revealed that most were within the age group of 18 to 30 years old. They were female, single status, and college graduates. Majority of the police personnel's rank is a police executive master sergeant. On the level of effectiveness of the PNP frontliners in enforcing the preventive measure against COVID-19 in Tagbilaran City as perceived by the police officers themselves, the data shows that the top three results are: police officers are always checking and reminding the residents to always and properly wear face masks, especially in public places. Second, police officers are giving aid in distributing essential goods and supplies to families in need. And third, police station conducts checkpoints in ingress and egress control points in Tagbilaran City at all times. The bottom three results are: the police officers daily conduct day monitoring within the vicinity of the city. Second, the police officers provide free rides to stranded workers or commuters to their desired destination at all times. And third, police officers are giving free face masks to every resident as one of the safety measures to prevent COVID-19. On the level of effectiveness of the PNP frontliners in enforcing the preventive measures against COVID-19, Tagbilaran City, as perceived by the residents, the data shows that the top three results are: police officers are strictly prohibiting the opening of cockfighting arenas and other gambling activities at all time. Second, police officers are inspecting or checking if everyone is wearing face masks in public places. And last, police officers conduct checkpoints in the city from time to time. And the lowest three results are: during nighttime, police officers conduct foot patrol in the city. Second, police officers give free rides to stranded workers or commuters to their desired destination. And police officers distribute free face masks to the public as one of the measures to prevent COVID-19 pandemic. On the significant degree of relationship between the respondents' profile and the level of effectiveness, the results revealed that across the variables, sex, age, and highest educational attainment of the two group of respondents has a significant relationship between the variables, while the civil status of the respondent has an insignificant relationship between the variables. So, in conclusion, based on the information accumulated, the results were analyzed and concluded that the Philippine National Police frontliners have demonstrated their adequacy in carrying out their obligation in keeping up the police service, strict execution of public health safety protocols, and appropriate usage of the laws towards the community in preventing the infection. And the most of the respondents know that the Philippine National Police Frontliners have executed strict approaches and rules to the COVID-19 widespread, that they are mindful that the Philippine National Police Frontliners are entirely imposing the preventive measures to control the spread of COVID-19 infection throughout Tagb City, Bohol. So in recommendation, it is highly recommended that the Philippine National Police will continue their strict implementation of their policies, and the residents to never forget to follow the health protocols and standard policies of the government to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Further, the government should strengthen the government structure in response to calamities such as COVID-19 pandemic. And researches could be the basis for creating learning materials such as in field trainings be integrated in the syllabus. In closing, the effectiveness of the government and the law enforcement to impose laws and regulations directly depends on the active participation and cooperation of the community. The community and the government must go hand in hand and spare no risk in the crusade against any adversity. With that, I thank the organizers and all the individuals behind this event for giving me this wondrous opportunity to share my research study. Good day and more power.